sellout 40,000 crowd nestled in the Sydney Football Stadium for the first ever Rugby International at this unique space-age venue. And it's the biggest rugby crowd in Australia since the 1984 series against the New Zealand All Blacks. Hello and welcome to the first international between Australia and the British Lions since 1966. The Lions winning both test matches that year. Indeed, Australia's only win this century was back in 1930, next door at the SCG. Tommy Lawton Sr. led the Australians to a 6-5 win. A wonderful occasion here, and two former great Wallabies, Chris Handy and Gary Pearce. Chris, can the Lions remain unbeaten?
Gordon, they've had a great tour to date. It's been one of the most demanding tours the Lions or any team touring could have taken on. But I think people underestimate Australia at home. Quality possession is what it's about today. The scrum first and then the line out. Australia needs to address these couple of factors, and if they can do that well right from the start of the game, they'll be a big chance of winning it. Gary Pearce.
The real spirit of rugby is returned to the Test Arena. The surrounding hotels are full of supporters and old rugby friends refreshing themselves before coming into the game. That background, combined with the great skills exhibited by the two sides, makes a fantastic place for today's game.
Yes, it really is ringing, this atmosphere here at the moment. You can see a few empty seats there on the side, but it is a ticket sellout, 40,000 fans. The Australians have named 3 new players: fullback Martin, centre Maguire and prop Crowley. 5 of the backs and 4 forwards played in Australia's last major international at Murrayfield. Campese is playing his 43rd test. He becomes the second most capped player behind Poitevin and is now our most capped back of all time. Doctor of Philosophy Cutler plays test number 36 and is the record holder for the second row. The Lions 15 contains 5 each from Scotland and Wales, 4 from England and 1 from Ireland. Second rower Robert Norster is the only man to have played a test for the Lions in New Zealand in 1983. Fullback Hastings has been hampered by a back problem in the lead-up, while centres Hall and Mullen get their chance after injuries to Scott Hastings and Devereaux. There's pace to burn in the 3 quarters, but the strength really does come from an imposing pack led inspiringly by Finlay Calder. So there's the saddle of the roof of the Sydney Football Stadium, and Nicholas Campbell-Farr-Jones leading Australia for the 9th straight time in a test match. Bill Campbell, the vice-captain, a very successful captain too of Queensland this year. And the Australians in their new strip from Canterbury International, and the stadium erupts here as the men in gold take the field for this historic occasion. So 3 new men, all from Queensland. And now Finlay Calder with that familiar mascot that perches on the halfway line in all matches on tour. The British Lions have won 6 straight. Brian Moore, the Nottingham solicitor, second man out, and David Young, who made his debut for Wales at Ballymore in 1987. So the atmosphere really tingling here. A big moment for the 31-year-old grain merchant, Finlay Calder, the 3rd Scot since World War II to lead the British Lions. The last Michael Campbell-Lamerton in 1966. And there's Dan Crowley, the tight head for Queensland, and now Australia. And his first international, only 23 years of age, from the South Club in Brisbane. We'll now stand by for the national anthems. So this Rico International going all over Australia live on ABC television. And because it's a ticket sellout, that's the reason it's going live in Sydney too. But remember, that doesn't apply for the remaining test matches. They have to be sold out before it goes live in the city of origin. Greg Martin, the big fullback from the University of Queensland, he's been waiting a long time for that goal jumper. He was picked for the Fiji tour back in 1984. He cried off. He was the only fullback in the squad, but now he finally gets his chance 5 years later. So the ground is in excellent condition. We've had no rain over the last 2 days. It will be quite firm, and there is little or no breeze here in Sydney, and that's the famous Sydney Harbour there in the background. So the atmosphere is quite electric here as we await the start. And I know two very anxious commentators, two former Wallabies sitting alongside me. Chris, just very briefly, you've been down to the dressing room. What's the feeling in the Australian camp?
Well, surprisingly, the Australians are very, very calm. I saw them just before the game at their motel, and there was a very a quiet confidence about them, Gordon. I thought it might be a little more nervous, a little bit more electric, but certainly the new caps were, but the most of the team, they're very confident and ready to get on with the job.
The 44-year-old school teacher from Tauranga in the Bay of Plenty, his 10th test match and his 75th first-class game, Mr. Keith Lawrence. Also, for the first time, neutral touch judges, fellow New Zealanders David Bishop and Lindsay McLaughlin, and Greg Martin with a touch early on. So, a great air of anticipation as Michael Lynagh just steadying things down here. And a chance here for the forwards to make contact. Gourley came charging through. And the referee spotting the knock-on. So we're just short of the halfway line as far as Australia is concerned.
Lions very tentative on that first point of impact. Australia looking good.
Australia very keen to pack this scrum at Argentinian height. Very low, Dan Crowley. That's his instructions. Tight head for Australia against the very experienced David Sowell.
Hastings hoists. Martin with an early test outside the 22. Safe as the Rock of Gibraltar. Arthur is in trouble. Back to Jeff Miller. The Lions there in numbers, though. And great support there from the University of Queensland flanker Jeffrey Miller. And the referee just making sure the bodies separate cleanly. And it was stationary. The Lions had the feed.
Two scrums in as many minutes. This is a very important one. Let's see how the Lions use it. Will they hoist it or will they run it in their backs?
Chalmers, here's the pot. An early blow here for the Lions. It misses on the left. The man who kicked 3 drop goals against New South Wales last week, including the match clincher, has missed on the left. An early, nervous stab from him. Well, that would have been a telling blow. Another good ball from Lynagh. Cutler coming through. Richards holds on well. Fingertip control. Finley Calder, and this is Jones. Again the high ball. Martin's across. Yayan Evans came through. Picked up by Calder. Calder still goes. Very close to the goal line. Australia in desperate defence here. Jones goes in. And David Sowell's been penalised for use of the elbow. Well, a silly indiscretion there. Only 5 metres out.
It was only bravado, this. It was a great kick from behind by Jones. Landed right on the spot. Martin there early and doesn't gather it in. Calder does the great work. And just watch on the side here. It goes to ground. They have everything going for them. They have the put into this next scrum from here. And silly work by David Sowell on the side. It's the little elbow and the aggressive, nervous energy right at the start, and he pays for it.
So Dan Crowley, who's been on the field in this test match for just 2.5 minutes, suffering an early injury. It appears to be his ankle.
It's an injury that he hasn't had previously. The rotation, they're just trying to flex it to get a bit of feeling back into the ankle. A very important left foot, the one that's planted to take all the weight. A very mobile prop forward, and anything which interferes with that early in a test match will be of importance.
Well, the Lions certainly won't hold back on that side of the scrum, Chris. I think they'll be certainly putting pressure on him right from here. They'll give nothing.
Yes, the Lions will be looking for a scrummage as soon as possible. And now Lynagh also will be looking for a very big clearance. Only 5 metres out from the goal line. It's a nice looking kick. Just 11 metres from the halfway line. So the heat off the men in gold.
The first line out of the game. Bill Campbell has not played at 2 in the line out all year. And here he is. He finds himself jumping at 2 for Australia. But I'm sure he'll have a roving commission.
Richards, number 8. Posed to Tyneman. Norster went high. Richards sweeps. They're over the gain line. This is where they're so destructive. Slipped back by Young. Chalmers. Mullen now with the speed. Beautiful pass to Hastings. Tackle was high. Referee says play on and penalises the Lions. I feel it should have gone the other way.
The only thing you could say is his vision was obscured because he came inside. He came inside. It was good work by the Lions forwards here. They moved the ball wide and used this great attacking weapon. Mullins bends it round behind the support, and watch it here. Comes up high and down. Must have been obscured, the David Campese tackle.
Gary Pearce, interesting too that Mullen taking on Walker there with his electrifying pace.
Well, Mullen really trying to get in behind the Australian backs, and Hastings coming bursting at that different angle, different pace. We saw it there. Campese read it and really took him high.
David Soul and Lillicrap at the front of the line out. Cutler taken out, but also coming straight across the line of touch. Cutler penalised. Craig Chalmers takes play back to the Australian 10-metre line. We've had just 4.5 minutes of play in this Ricoh International here at the Sydney Football Stadium.
Australia to feed the line out. Be interesting to see where their options are. Probably use Cutler. He's calling the shots in the middle of the line out. But they've got plenty of options with Gourley and Tyneman at the back, but it's not really the place on the field to play it.
Campbell at the front. Farr Jones clears beautifully. Lynagh's kick straight down the centre. This is Gavin Hastings. A sure touch finder from him. Well, after the 1987 World Cup, he was picked by Rugby World Post as the #1 fullback, few would argue.
A fantastic player that joins the line at the most unpredictable times and always safe as a bank on a high ball.
5-man line out for Australia, getting good clean possession. There's the Gary Owen from Lynagh. It's a beauty. Martin comes in. Hastings is there. Calder picked up the crumbs and lost. Australia drive low. The Lions holding on here. Scrum feed here for the Australians, just 18 metres out.
Most important scrum for Australia. As we see here, the ball's come through. Hastings goes up to the ball, but he's really put under pressure here by Maguire coming through. Calder in there, but there, Lloyd Walker's got the ball. Australia looking here to try and clean it up, but the Lions there too fast.
Lynagh now, field goal. He struck it well. First points Australia. Michael Lynagh kicks his 7th field goal in test matches. And what a critical blow it was too.
Crucial scrum for Australia, that one. Crowley attacked by David Soul, but was stable long enough to present this ball to the magician behind.
Craig Chalmers with the restart. 6.5 minutes gone. Cutler couldn't hold on. This is Moore. Lions with a chance to set something up. Chalmers. Martin underneath, right in front of the goalposts. Here comes Hall. An obstruction ruled against the Australians. Steve Tyneman's been penalised, and this is a gift 3-pointer which will level the scores.
Silly play. Desperate defensive position for Australia. A clear call from the number 15 up. The support given by Tyneman, but in front and obstructed the Lions' attack coming through. How quickly it changes.
So far on tour, the Lions have successfully been able to shield their fullback under those high kicks, but it has to come by players trying all to get to the ball. In that case, Steve Tyneman really was putting the shepherd up.
So no problem with this one. Straight over the black spot on the crossbar, and it's all level here. 7.5 minutes first half. Gavin Hastings, who kicked 6 penalty goals in his debut against France in '86. So Mr. Keith Lawrence taking firm control in the early stages. Hastings, who kicked the penalty goal. Campese there coming through. Jeff Miller, number 7 for Australia. And that's Dominic Maguire, number 13. Miller, the hunting hound in the Australian pack.
Kickoffs and 22 dropouts have been a sensational facet of game for the Lions. They've really smashed through opposition defences in this phase.
Moore, lost ahead. Richards.
Again, we see the Australians tentative when receiving that ball and spilling easy possession.
The Lions on those 22s have committed players who go forward, and heaps of depth and power by players like Richards bursting onto the ball.
Tyneman. Here's Far Jones. Arthur's there. Arthur into touch. Australia making about 15 metres and bringing the crowd to their toes.
I think we were looking, Far Jones was looking for Arthur to come inside. He kept coming, he kept coming. There was no gap inside and certainly very little outside. Good thrust by Australia.
Australia shading the Lions in the early line-outs. And they've got one there. Tyneman goes straight through and sets up beautifully. Far Jones to Lynagh. They follow. Lynagh. Try! Lloyd Walker comes up with the ball. His second try in a test match. And Lynagh was the man who set it up.
Well, for mine, this one gets knocked on by Michael Lynagh because he doesn't control the ball in the air, but we'll see what hand touches it first. He may have said Lyons' hand touched it. If so, great try, Australia. Well, Gary Pearce.
See here, the real product of here was Tyneman bursting forward, putting the Lions backs too far up, and Lynagh put the ball through. He contests it. Jones knocks it back, and Walker there. Great try.
So a dream start here for the Australians. Lynagh takes his tally now to 5 points in the game. 1 conversion, 1 penalty.
Very important points up early in this test match. Both teams, when they've got down to the 22, have actually got points. Very effective in their approach to picking the pace of the game up when they get close to the opposition try line.
Australia ahead 9-3. Cutler went high. Lawton pushes back. The Lions through. The referee says it was out. Now it's Finlay Calder. Richards in his pocket. Chalmers. Hastings coming through here. So is Mullen. That one going a little too deep. But Martin in trouble. 5-metre scrum here for the Lions. Can they hit back?
Beautiful kicking by Chalmers. He's really putting that ball really high and allowing plenty of his teammates to get in to create the pressure. Martin caught the ball well but had nowhere to go.
The Lions going back from the mark. They'll be penalised here if they're not careful. Let's see if the Australian scrum holds its ground. It is so far. A great Australian scrum here. And Australia gets the tight head. Arthura keeping the ball in play. Well, the Australian supporters enjoyed that one. The Lions in strong attacking position, and Evans uses his 22 in defence.
And some great chasing by the Australian back row and inside backs. Fantastic.
What a superb scrum. Here the Lions held the ball, thinking they could put on the scrum. Look at Crowley driving in on Sol, bunching him completely. The ball popping uncontrollably out. That's the stuff that great test matches are made of. Fantastic forward play, and they'll need plenty of it, Australia.
Cameron Lillycap. Bill Campbell jumping at number 2. Gourley at the back. Loose ball. Norster knocks on. Robert Norster, 32 years of age, just a week ago celebrated with a try against New South Wales. It's a better engagement from the Lions, but the early psychological advantage here to Australia as Far Jones' kick is charged down. Lynagh, long pass to Campese. It was a beautiful pass. Australia come through. Campese still going. Referee says play on. The Lions again defending desperately, but the referee spotting an Australian player on the ground with his hands.
Getting a quick... Great counter-attacking. The ball, Far Jones in trouble. The ball whipped wide by 2 passes it was. Campese, the ball's knocked forward, lost forward there. It should have been a put into the Lions. They shouldn't have been under that pressure. And it's a hand here that gets them into trouble.
Yes, there was a suspicion of a red jersey in there also, but the referee spotted the goal one first. So there's the Brains Trust in the background, Roger Utley and Ian McGeechan, both members of the Great Lions team for South Africa in 1974, unbeaten on tour. Hastings doesn't find touch. Far Jones says mine. Not a bad kick. Martin and Campese through. Well taken though by Hastings. He's wrapped up by Cutler. The Lions try to roll it left, but Australia was waiting. This is Jeff Miller, number 7. 6 there is Derek White. Now Miller really close to being offside. Jones. This is Evans. Campese waits. Underwood. Lovely work here by Mullen. The ball spews forward, and Tyneman clears for Australia. Hastings on halfway. He follows. Kick very close to the touchline. 5 metres out. Well, for some reason there, Martin was on the wing, marking Evans, and Campese was back at fullback, and Evans had too much pace.
In fact, it was Lynagh back at fullback. They had left the gap. We could see it from our commentary position. There was the gap. The Lions exposed it. And what a great passage of play. Thrust and parry. And now the Lions close with their ball into the line out.
Finlay Calder taps back. This is Chalmers. Wrapped up by Walker. It's out. Chance now for Chalmers. That's Brendan Mullen to Jones. They were waiting. The Lions recover quickly. And they're pushed backwards here by the Australians, but they come again.
Good drive by the Australian forward pack. But Mr. Lawrence, it's a doubtful one. Saying that the Lions were in possession, the attacking team. Getting the benefit of the doubt to the put in. And let's see if Australia are capable of another push in the scrum.
Danger man here for Australia is Craig Chalmers. In good position here for the pot. Here he goes. Struck it well. And the referee says yes. His second drop goal in internationals. And the Lions back to within 3.
Craig Chalmers, I think on this tour, Chris, I doubt if he's had his jumper dirty. I think they hang it up after each game. He puts himself way back and puts himself in perfect positions. Even the pace of Scott Gourley couldn't get there to charge that kick down.
Even Michael Lynagh. Gary said he couldn't get there.
Taken by Calder. Oh, and then he lost it ahead. Unfortunate mistake there by the popular Lion skipper. He had the ball, he did the hard work, but then it just eluded him. Finley Calder, here in Australia in '82 with his twin Jim, and his brother John also came out as a replacement. Lynagh, behind the Lions' backs, Arthur sprinting hard.
Superb play by Lynagh there. He saw the Lions' backs coming up onto his own backs out wide, and tremendous kick, low raking kick into the 22. Australia here looking to pick the pace of the game up. Every line out forward looking committed to close that play off. Australia needs to sweep better. Early line out so far, we've seen that the ball's come back and gone to ground.
Robert Norstra and Cutler, old foes. Richards at the back. He got the knockdown. And Jones looks for the safety of touch just out from the 22. Robert Jones, little halfback, finance executive, who stepped into the halfback role when Terry Holmes defected to league. Timon got it to Campbell. The Australians outsmarting. Far Jones with a long pass here for Maguire. It's Martin. Back it goes to Gourley. Gourley! Yes! Scott Gourley scores the second try for Australia. He scored a try now in his first 3 test matches. And his parents, Robin and Nerida, are in the stand this afternoon.
Brilliant team try by Australia, all brought about by the ploy of bringing the 3 extras into the line out at the last minute. Then to the back and then wide. Martin just makes that punishing straightening and picks up Gourley on the oblique run. Beautiful, strong rugby.
What a tremendous line out here. You can see the ball's gone up there. Campbell takes the ball and takes it right over the advantage line. Far Jones superbly comes in behind, looks out wide for the support. And here's Martin, different angle, different pace. He's wrong-footed them, and Gourley, like a great back rower, has really clipped the ears back and over for a fantastic Australian try.
Well, I suspect every resident in Narrabri has just hit the roof, if there's one over your heads. Lynagh looking to make it a 9-point advantage. Crowd's happy. So are the touch judges. And that really is a mighty start for this Australian team. They haven't put a foot wrong so far.
The subtlety in the line-out wasn't lost on the rest of the backs in support. The change of angle. Maguire picks up Martin running straight. And look at this looping by Gourley, who really had to cover some distance. He saw the line. Look at the eyes. Nothing's going to stop him. Over.
Campbell went high. Beautiful hands from Lawton. A man inspired. Lynagh. And he pumps it up the touchline. Really rifling that kick. It bounced inside the touchline and into touch. Centimetres in it.
Lions being rocked even further back onto their heels now.
And as you see so often, one thing inspires another. Look at this for inspirational stuff. A foot from touch.
Australia dominating set play. Lions unable to really upset the Australians in the line out and importantly in the scrum.
Far Jones again putting the Lions under pressure.
It's a difficult situation, that one. The kick by Far Jones immediately puts the players in front of him offside. If they move forward towards where it's going to drop, they're inside the 10-metre circle, and it's just one of those subtleties often missed by referees, those short kicks. But Keith Lawrence, it didn't miss him.
So the big Australian gum trees, Bill Campbell, Steve Cutler, and also Steve Timon, who won that critical line-out, which led to the Australian try, really causing problems at the moment.
Well, this was their plan. Short 5 line-outs, short 3, short 2s. Give them a chance to get clear possession.
Chalmers hit hard, very hard indeed. The referee says it was...
It certainly wasn't late. And I'm sure the replay will show it. It wasn't high, so I'm doubt whether this penalty is right. That continued through, unable to pull out of that one. Gary Pearce, you've been in that situation before. What do you think?
Great pressure by Scott Gourley there. He stuck the inside shoulder. These English players, or British Lions players, love to be able to step back inside. Gourley kept the right angle on the inside shoulder and finished off the tackle. I guarantee Chalmers will be looking next time the ball comes his way.
Craig Chalmers, on the other hand, is a very tough little customer. He's been earmarked for the top from his schoolboy days. And Gavin Hastings with a chance to keep the Lions in touch. They trail by 9. The goal kicker's right on target so far. This one 40 metres out. He's pushed it wide. And David Campese. Some of the spectators putting their hands over their eyes, but no need to. Campo, the eccentric attacker in the Australian side, placing the ball down in goal. That one slightly miscued by Lynagh, gives the Lions breathing space. Richards couldn't take it. Chalmers does. Back to Sol. He was met by Jeff Miller. Long cut out to Hastings. Kleinman across. Good play by Hastings. And a foot into touch. 12 metres from halfway.
Good play by the Lions to move this ball very wide. It was a double cut to Hastings, and if this ball had have made it down where it should have, it was certainly back in their territory.
David Bishop, touch judge on the far side. Cutler. Lynagh. Again, that torpedo punt kick in behind Rory Underwood, the flight lieutenant. And low driving kick doesn't gain much ground for Hastings.
Again, superb pressure by the Australian backs there. We had Maguire, Thura and Martin chasing through on that ball.
A short 4 line out this time.
Great clearance from Far Jones. Well, the Lions really backpedaling, but that one looks to be wasted.
Unfortunate. Michael Lynagh there looking for David Campese in that far left-hand corner.
You'd have had to been Mercury to make it to that one, Piercy. Yeah. Good clean ball from the line out. Would like to have seen that ball if it was going high in underneath the posts, I thought, with a full complement in the back line.
Cutler calls for the tap. Campbell came in strongly. Norster drives low. Australia slip it back. Far Jones here and Arthura. Jones races back. He gets the bounce and he's collared. Lions holding on. Forwards very slow to get back. And it's all Australia at the moment.
Australia unfortunate not to get a penalty there. I believe Jones held onto the ball just that too long.
Plenty of Australian forwards there to get hold of it, but he wouldn't release it. But that's over now. It's up to an Australian scrum now to set that platform to give the backs plenty of room to move.
Lynagh, long one here. Martin, almost there. And it was knocked on, lost forward.
Very flat defensive marking of the Lions' backs, but again, Australia's scrum proved sound. Good firm condition. They've been able to present the ball properly. And it's this that's helping the backs get underway.
Jones has to stay behind the ball. And Chalmers on his left foot does well.
He's a clever footballer, this young fellow. Very calm in the situation. His kicks so far have just dropped perfectly.
Yes, a great sporting family. His mother, a Scottish hockey trialist. Cutler. Far Jones is held without the ball. This is Miller. Far Jones again. Lynagh. Tyneman and Arthura. He gets the pace, but again he's put a foot in touch. Well, he's got a pretty slippery customer in front of him, Rory Underwood. Well, they've tucked between those two.
They've picked the shortcomings of the Lions, taking the ball centre field and then attacking back on that short blind side. They've done it 5 times to date in the match, and it's only been a hair's breadth that's kept Australia from getting away. Good control, particularly in this first half, where they need the ball in front of them and under control.
Again, Cutler does well. Lawton supports. But the Australians there spoilt by some very vigorous and aggressive defence from the Scarlet Reds.
Gary, Nick Farr-Jones being balked off the end by Calder breaking off the end. He's not throwing the ball wide, he's coming back to short.
Well, once that ball's deflected, it's over. So therefore, Calder's out there. Calder playing right on the verge of offside the whole this entire tour, yet to be caught.
Good jump by Ackford, but he lost it. Australia with a chance. Walker straightens. Back to Miller. Looping round. Again, the Australians over the game line. Quick ball here. There's numbers. Walker. Martin. It's Maguire. And Campese. Arthura. Couldn't hold on. It looked like number 3 for sure.
And here we go. One time going the short side, the blind side, and then stretching it wide. There coming forward off Arthura's hand, right when he could have been great.
No room here for Jones. Doesn't find touch. This is Martin. The Australians have got to get outside the 10 metres here. They've been run onside. Hastings took it brilliantly and was bowled over by Gourley with the support of a teammate. Chalmers now. Chance for the Lions to settle. And a steadying kick finds touch 9 metres from halfway.
Well, in previous games, it's been the Australian teams that have been New South Wales or Queensland having problems putting the Lions on the ground. Now in this test match, it's the Lions who aren't putting Australia on the ground. That's where they're getting that surge.
Tommy Lawton, who spent most of the season on the Queensland reserves bench. Farr-Jones. Good long clearance. Walker through the dummy cleverly. Back to Tyneman, who was wrapped up solidly. Good ruck ball, Australia. Lynagh. And look at that kick. Delightful.
Well, on tour to date, it's been the Lions that have been able to win that critical ball. Tackling the opponents and then being able to sneak ball that the others have taken in. But to date, Australia have not lost one that they've taken in. And that's the key. Their set plays have been very good scrum and line out, and they've maintained possession in that breakdown.
So Paul Ackford, number 4 for the Lions. Norster in the middle, 5. 6 is Derek White. Ackford went high. That's Richard sweeping. Solid defence at the front of that line-out.
Well, Tommy Lawton told me this morning if Dean Richards came around the front, he was his man and he was going to nail him. And you saw it that time. We've seen Enrique Rodriguez take that role previously, but Lawton's taken up the cudgels.
Richards at the back to Derek White. Finlay Calder, his fellow Scotsman. This is a better setup from the Lions. Jones. Martin comes in. Oh, he wasn't going to drop it. This is Gourley. He shows he can kick as well. And look at Arthura. A race for the ball. Hastings saved there by the bounce over the goal line.
Wouldn't have been interesting to see him have to play that, to have it in touch.
Hastings' kick doesn't go over the 22. What a terrible mistake.
The Lions rattled here, trying these sneaky little tricks rather than getting back to basics. And that's what a bit of conversation going between Chalmers and Hastings right now. Let's keep it back, get it back to basics. Get the simple things right.
The kick has to cross the 22-metre line. It didn't. And Martin comes in on the big blind side. Australia go left. Campese. Well caught. Gourlay's there. Now the Lions have a chance. Australia didn't release, says the referee.
I think Gourley released and then picked up again because there wasn't the support. Martin running the ploy, going right, taking some of the Lions away with him. The short side was good. The cutout pass to Campese was fine.
Well, this Australian team has had its critics. when selected. But every man really answering those critics so far.
The Lions' backline defence, though, has been flat and good. Unable to punch the holes that they were expecting to, Australia.
There's Bill Campbell jumping second from the back. But Ackford was there and equal. That's David Soul. The effervescent Scottish loose head. Mullen. Underwood. Lynagh. Lynagh and Chalmers. Race for the ball. No try. Knock on over the goal line. Scrum out 5 metres. Lions feed.
Heady play by Lynagh. This one, I think, Gary, he knew that he'd be collared. He got the ball ahead so he could get some free space. Look at this, a great front-on shot and knocked dead by the Lions. It should be Australia's put in. There was a red arm to the ball. Said Michael Lynagh has knocked the ball forward. It's very difficult to see. Another test for the scrum.
Very intelligent play by Lynagh there. But now Australia right on here, looking to pick the pace of the game up.
The Australian scrum buckles the Lions pack. It's gone round past the 90.
Tremendous confidence here for the Australian pack. They've really called for the effort and all got in behind there. Chris, you know what it's like when you get an opposition front row going up and getting snow on their backs.
Unbelievable. The mere grunt of submission from an opposition front row can make you superhuman in strength. And look how low that scrum's being packed there. Dan Crowley taking it right down low and plenty of drive going in.
Chalmers with little or no angle. The ball just finding touch. What a delightful kick from the young man.
He's certainly a useful 5'8", Gordon.
Well, the pass to him from Jones wasn't that good, and he really had to field it like a cricket slip to get hold of it, to eventually get his foot onto it and get it down the touchline.
7 minutes now before half-time. There's Derek White, who toured Australia in '82. Knocked out of the game at Murrayfield after a solid tackle by Gourley. They're marking each other at the moment. David Young slipping that ball back. This is Arthura. Martin calls for it. And finds open space. He wants the bounce. Oh, unbelievable.
Oh, this is big. This is huge. Greg Martin, in his debut for Australia for the Wallabies, has kicked it from inside his own territory on a counter-attack, and it's gone out a metre from the corner post.
This is the product of enthusiasm of the Australian backs. Arthura getting back across to Martin, everybody wanting to be part of the game. And now it's the forwards wanting to be part of it. Right, 1 metre out from the Lions line.
This will be a bun fight, this line out. Everyone closing the gaps.
It is a bun fight. It's loose. Knock on, says the referee, by Australia. No control there on the dockyard. The Australians apply the shove. Chalmers again pressed by Far Jones and Michael Lynagh, but he gains a few metres.
Great pressure, Australia. It's building, building, building. 5 minutes now only to go in the first half. You can feel the strength, you can feel the confidence within the team.
See here, Gourlay's moved to number 3 in the line out. They've moved Campbell back to second from the back. I'd say here they're looking to take it around the back with Gourley punching up into the inside backs of the Lions.
Not in straight, says the referee. David Young and Scott Gourley, two of the younger players. Chalmers having plenty of work to do in the early stages. Doesn't get his touch here. This is Martin. And he put a foot into touch.
If looks could kill. And he's Martin's a bloke, I doubt, would ever take a backward step, Chris. You know him from Queensland.
He stayed with his body inside the ball. Probably the wrong time to do that if he'd leant out over the line. Treasured this moment for a long time. The Lions doing very well defensively, though. A lot of pressure.
against Australia taking the man out. So the Lions hanging on here in this critical period before half-time, and the penalties favouring the British Irons by 6-2.
Australia had to take that aggressive stance today. It was the only way that they were going to distract the savage beast, the savage lion beast that had been running rampant throughout Australia over the last 3 or 4 weeks. They've taken all before them, but they've said no more, the Wallaby. We're going to take it to you today.
And what a magnificent two-handed catch from Bill Campbell. Far Jones knocks on. The referee had his back turned but still spotted it. Well, that was wasted possession. Bill Campbell did all the tough work at the front of the line out. A magnificent two-handed catch. And now a problem here for Tom Lawton.
Well, so far, I'd say that the Lions are lacking that support play and power of Mike Teague. I think it's been one part of the game that the Lions have shown to date that Teague's been able to get to breakdown and drive the play forward.
I thought they may have played Jeffrey in the Test match instead of White. It's a view shared by some of the British commentators here, because they needed that aggression. They needed that mad dog spirit to keep their role going forward.
So just 3 minutes before half-time. Jones throws the dummy, finds a gap, halfway line. Moore, Gourley the tackler. Chalmers, it's been kick and chase from the Lions in the backs. Martin, just outside the 22, stands in the tackle and is finally put to the ground. Scrum feed here for the Lions. Can they hit back just before half-time?
You couldn't ask for better kicking by Chalmers. He's dropped that ball 2 feet outside the 22, meaning that the option of kicking out on the full wasn't available to Greg Martin. It hasn't happened once. It's happened 4 or 5 times. He's brought Martin forward out of the 22 and placed him under enormous pressure.
Into the very important 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes of the half. Australia must hold on here.
Here comes Hastings, trying to punch up the centre. White goes solidly and knocked on by the Lions.
Well, it seems, as we thought before the game, Gary, that Gavin Hastings was their only attacking weapon in the backs, running at the angle, and then their only variation, Hastings running as the dummy and the cutout to Underwood.
Tight head here to the British Lions. This is Chalmers. Oh, terrible kick. Campisi through. Evans caught. Walker. Campisi follows. Hall. Well caught. Richardson support. Look at Miller. Great tackle by the little back rower. But a hand spotted there by referee Lawrence, who was right on the spot. And a let-off for the Lions.
But that's what everyone came to the Sydney cricket ground to see today. Somebody go to Dean Richardson, really pull him to ground easily. You heard the roar from the crowd. They love to see it. He's a fabulous player. He's strong. He's aggressive. He looks the part.
And there's Bob Templeton, the Australian coach, with Mark McBain. So some concern there with Tom Lawton, perhaps, but I think McBain also might be going out to speak to the troops at half-time.
I think that will be the thing. Bob Templeton, the assistant coach and the coach of the forwards, basically, for the game.
So knock on at the line-outs. Australia has the scrum feed. We're inside the last 30 seconds of this Rico International. And Australia with 15 points on the board. That is their highest ever score against the British Isles since the very first tour by Great Britain way back in 1888. Previous highest score was 13.
You see the new law coming into play there. The wheel of the scrum past the 90 degrees means that they repack the scrum. Referee Lawrence pulling them back. Previously, that scrum used to be able to go right round 180 degrees.
So the hooter goes for half-time, and Australia very much in the driving seat by 15 points to 6 here at the Sydney Football Stadium. And the crowd really enjoying a very entertaining first half. Great test match football and some real enterprise and some very positive play from the Australians. So the Australians scoring 2 tries to nil, Lloyd Walker and Scott Gourley. Gourley now a try in his first 3 test matches. Lynagh 2 conversions and also 1 field goal. Lynagh has kicked 1 out of 1, Hastings 1 out of 2. And the statistics on the first half, the lineouts favouring Australia by 10-9, the penalties the British Lions by 7-2, and the rucks and mauls have gone to the Lions by 12-9. Well, the outstanding try of the 2 scored was certainly Scott Gourley's. It came in the 18th minute of the first half. Yes, this really came from some tremendous line-out ball there from Steve Tyneman. It was Big Bill Campbell, the sweeper. Take it away, Chris Handy.
Well, it worked from the line-out because of the subtle trick of being able to pull 3 in. But the change of angle and the continuity by Gourley, there was nothing going to stop him here. He's had a huge first half and certainly vindicated the selector's choice. The taking away, it just really worked well, Gary, didn't it? The ball
certainly
went
is. You saw
wide.
the great skills there of Campbell as he slipped the ball up. And it's again that change of angle. You can see all the Lions have had to stop and check while Gourley's at full pace, and he's just powered his way through those last 3 tackles.
And what a magnificent sight. Young Scott Gourley, 20 years of age, in full flight, steaming for that goal line, and what a great score it was for Australia. Well, Chris Handy and Gary Pearce, it's been an enthralling first half so far, and the Australian forwards taking the honours, Chris.
They had to, Gordon. That's simply what it was all about. In the scrum, they've not taken a backward step. In the line-out, they've got good possession. Not that they've used it so well, but it's been in that breakdown because they had the initial platform, that breakdown that allowed Australia. They've won their own ball that they've taken in, Gary, and that's enabled that continuity.
It certainly has been. If you have a look at the way the Lions so far on tour have played the game in front of the advantage line, but this aggressive tackling by Australia has forced them to be able to play their game behind the advantage line, and they don't like it.
Can I just throw one question, Chris? McBain is warming up for Australia, so Lawton would appear to be injured.
Yeah, that's a shame. We just saw it beforehand. We'll wait and see. I don't think it'll make a difference. There may be even a little plus.
And also Mark Harthill out there taking off his tracksuit. So this test match appears in Australia's keeping at the moment, but a couple of disruptions in the scrum could be very critical. Lawton staying on for the time being, but he appears to be feeling his groin area, and I don't think he's going to be able to keep going.
Well, how many games in the first 10 minutes of a second half really dictates what happens to the rest of the game? It all depends.
Steve Cutler's also down, Gary Pearce. Is that Steve Cutler down there?
No, it isn't Steve Cutler.
It's Cameron Lillycrap.
Cameron Lillycrap.
So 2 front rowers in trouble, and we could see a double change here with McBain and Harthill coming on, and suddenly the whole scrum situation could be reversed.
Yes, it does. Not a bad ploy, though. Unfortunate for Australia to that change. It doesn't happen. It only happens through injury. It's not like our Feral Friends game where they replace people at whim or as they run out of puff. This is purely because of injury. Mark Harthill smarting from being left out of the team, as was Mark McBain. Now's their chance. Let's see how they go.
Mark Harthill on for his 11th test match. Half of his tests have been against the New Zealand All Blacks. And Mark McBain, so many times on the reserves bench for Australia, 33 in fact, is on for his 6th international. So Australia with 2 converted tries, a field goal by Lynagh as well. For the Lions, Hastings a penalty and a field goal by Chalmers. 9-point advantage. Australia with 2 replacements at half-time, though, both in the front row.
This first point of impact is very important in this second half. The Lions, after their half-time break, would be saying, let's really get it and drive it and get over that advantage line. Australia will be looking to pick the pace of the game up again.
And as well as a change in the front row, a change in the thrower to the scrum, to the line-out. With no effect. They're old friends.
And there was a feint there by Mark McBain, so the referee quite rightly has given a free kick to the Lions. You must throw the ball in straight away without feint.
Well, the feint certainly showed the tactics of blocking from the Lions. I'm not sure if it was within the rule book.
So just that bit of drama added to this already tense situation. Australia by 15-6. They've scored 2 tries to nil. The 2 new front rowers on the pitch.
Just watch the line out, the short 5.
Cutler to Far Jones, to Lynagh. Walker. Dan Crowley taking the ball on hard there.
Good ploy that. They usually use Miller out wide, but they've used him as the dummy runner and picked up the tight forward, really wanting to win possession centre field.
So the Lions will be looking for the scrum advantage now.
A real test. Hartill yet to get the field. McBain, his first scrum of the game, coming on from dead cold on the sidelines.
David Young getting up very slowly. I think Hartill's pressure is telling already.
Taking the scrum down. David Young penalised, the young Welshman.
Clear indication there from referee Keith Lawrence that the tight head there, number 3, rolled his shoulder down and collapsed the scrum. In the danger aspects of the game, that's one of the big ones.
A bad kick by Lynagh, doesn't find touch. Hastings drives it back downfield to Martin. Martin playing the ball deep in the opponent's territory. And so we will be back now to the 22-metre line. This is Robert Jones.
Clever play by Martin that time. Caught the ball and punched it dead, thus enabling a 22-metre dropout into receiving back to Australia. But they're going to have to smarten up this area of their play.
Chalmers has found space. Campese on the 22-metre line. Let's see if Campese's on his kicking day. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. This is Norster. That's much better, David.
Norster looking very tired to get back for that ball there. Campese again kicking to the open, not really having the legs, and fortunately there was no one out there that really had the ability to pick it up and kick it.
But Norster did the right thing because he didn't have support. It'd be silly for him to attempt to kick.
Richards reigns supreme at the back this time. Chalmers. Again, the kick doesn't find touch. This is Martin. Long pass to Campese. Oh, terrible mistake. Why did they do that? The ball was thrown forward. Well, that was shades of Wellington, 1986, when we saw a suicidal pass.
Big pass wide. It was ambitious, this one, to say the least. It was some 22 metres or 20 metres across.
There goes back to keep it simple, stupid. It's the only way to play this game right now. No tricks will win a test match.
Chalmers, a flood of Gary Owens from him. Campese's there this time. Left foot kick. Not a bad reply from Campese.
Great kick under pressure that time. He has his critics of his kicking game. At that time, quickly under it. Great eye. A let off for Australia, but the pace has gone off for them. They'll need to get it back onto their terms if they're to protect this 9-point margin.
Norster in the middle. Ranked the #1 line-out jumper still in Europe, but Cutler did it easily. But pushing out in the line-out, says the referee, barging by the Australians. And Cutler penalised.
Australia seeing how critical it is to get possession down in this 22 in these first 10 minutes of the half.
Cutler was jumping for the ball, which he's entitled to. He's not happy.
Keith Lawrence saying pushing out of the line out, affecting the opposition. I'll leave it up to you. Here Cutler in the middle going up cleanly on his own. No hands from the man behind. Cutler completely on his own. There's no pushing. There's no interference. There should be no penalty.
Well, certainly Robert Norster was all over Cutler's shoulders. He went too early. But a very difficult area for the referee, the line-out. You'd probably find 30 or 40 infringements in every line-out.
Gordon, the reviews that people should abolish all rules to the line-out. Or they'll let the players work it out themselves. Hastings
Has missed what should have been a straightforward penalty goal for the Lions, and that's not a good omen for the visitors. Lynagh has sent the ball back upfield. He's caught the touch judge by surprise. The referee coming across to note the touch. Campese delivering to Lynagh. Well, the Australians again taking a risk. But it came off that time.
It brought a gasp to the commentators, that impulsive move. It's probably the thing Australia needs to get onto the front foot. That one's crooked to the line out.
Yes, the long throw over the back certainly wasn't straight. And breathing space for the Australians.
Well, what Australia has done is it's forced the Lions to go to the unorthodox, into territory that they have previously uncharted. And therein they could be found wanting.
Lynagh. He got a good boot on that one. Hastings out from his 22 is going to counter. Miller in front. Hastings replies. Oh, that's a prodigious kick from him. This is Martin. Doesn't pass to Campese this time. And he's found touch with a boomer. Back up towards halfway.
And a knowing smile comes to the face of Gary Pearce.
Well, that line's certainly not stuffed.
A bit of...
Cutler, beautifully. Lynagh, Walker. They've gone over the gain line. This is Miller, punching hard. Good tackle by Chalmers. Playing the ball on the ground. Australia has struggled to get the penalty in that breakdown situation.
Quite interesting here. The Lions so far on tour have been able to control the set plays. But the scrum they've been able to dominate. Line out, they've been getting their possession. Today they've been matched there. As Chris was saying, they really haven't practiced the other aspects of the game, their second phase and counter-attack game. And that's really where the problem's occurring. They're looking to take the cheap shots to get the ball. In that case there, we saw Miller driving forward over the advantage line. The Lions standing back watching.
Bob Templeton, life member of the Australian Rugby Union and also president of the Barbarians Club, a great servant of the game. He's been the assistant coach to Bob Dwyer. Well, this would really hammer home the Australian advantage. Straight out in front. 47 metres. Distance no problem. Is the crowd happy? They sure are. Majestic kick from Lynagh. First penalty goal of the game for him. He's kicked 3 out of 3, and Australia by 12.
Early reply in the first 10 minutes of the second half. Australia could only have dreamed of that, and there it is on the board. Stretched out to 12 points the lead, and they're flying. They've got their tails in the air, the Wallabies.
Here's Cutler. He's had a whale of a game. So too his partner Bill Campbell, and so too the Australian back row. Michael Lynagh, who first sported the Queensland jumper after leaving St Gregory Terrace the year before, his first game in the Queensland jumper against Wairarapa Bush. Solemn faces all round in the British Lions camp. But the game's not over. Still plenty of time. 30 minutes remaining.
Superb line-out win by Ackford that time. For anyone looking to know how line-out jumping should be done, and here the rolling maul they've got set up. Good skills.
Good delivery here. Chalmers. Martin gets the mark. He was stationary. Took it on his chest.
We'll see the difference there. That time Chalmers hoisting the ball, it went a metre or so inside the 22. Martin was able to stand his ground and call the mark. Previously that ball had dropped outside the 22, forcing him to play on, and just that extra metre makes so much difference.
Well, Roger Gould would be pretty proud of that kick. In fact, Martin and Gould are pretty good mates. Martin's girlfriend's sister shares a house with Roger Gould, and he gave him some good advice before the game, particularly with the high balls.
Some good trivia, Gordon. You must have dug very deep to find that.
10-metre line, Australian territory. Chalmers. Will we see something at the Lions three-quarters? Hastings punches in. Beautiful low tackle by Maguire. Finley called it there quickly. Overlap. Oh, great tackle by Campese. Saved the situation. Calder's there again. Back to Sol. And jarring tackle by Big Bill Campbell. Oh, that was a big hit.
And Robert Norster thinks Mark McBain's head's a football or a punching bag and tries to belt it in his customary fashion at the back. In fact, Norster's had a bit of a preoccupation with Mark McBain's head.
I thought it was the tooth fairy.
No, I thought it was his boot. Really forcing both teams to stretch it right out. The Lions reaching into areas that they've got to stretch themselves now. They've got to pull it out.
Well, the referee is calling for both front rows to keep back from the mark. The Lions tending to creep up on the mark. Referee Lawrence is forcing them back, and concern here for the big Leicester policeman, Dean Richards, who's been a tour de force on tour.
Dean Richards being negated in today's game, mainly because of that very aggressive and offensive tackling by Scott Gourley.
Good work here, this scrum. Look at the power in that. Look at that power. Dean Richards, he's walked into something in the back there, holding his face.
There's the tooth fairy, Chris.
Leaving the field.
He's lost one.
The Lions one man
I think
down.
he'll probably get $100 for that.
It hasn't gone past the 90 yet. Controlled by Timon at the back. Far Jones, straight through. Back it goes to Cutler. Campisi. Good pass to Harthill. McBain can't hold on. Great surge and sweep there by the Australian forwards. Initiated by Far Jones.
And as you might see, while Dean Richards is off the field, this area at the back of the scrum is open. Far Jones exploits it, and it sets the Australians alight. Campisi's back inside pass. McBain just overrunning in the corner, but good support play. He came from the scrum to be there.
So the Lions packing down without a blindside breakaway. Tight head. Campisi's kick charge down. This is Ackford. And Jones was inside his 22. Has he found his touch? Campisi. He's kicked to open space. He wants Arthur to chase it. Hastings now on the counter inside his 22. 10 metres from halfway.
Well, fortunately there, I think Hastings has been pretty tight running around after the ball and didn't put a counter-attack on. That probably shows how the Lions really aren't playing to the advantages of those bad kicks.
And John Jeffrey, the Shark, talking to his Scottish coach as well, Ian McGeechan, capped 8 times for the British Lions. Ian McGeechan, 74 and 77. So Richards off the field, Jeffrey to come on. And that is a devastating blow for the Lions. But both sides have been hit by injuries so far. Tom Lawton, by the way, has a suspected pinched nerve or a pressured nerve in his lower back. Both of his feet are numb. Lillicrap damaged cruciate ligament in the right knee. Australian scrum holding sway.
Look at this Australian scrum go, putting the Lions under pressure at every put-in. They really have to work hard to get out of it, but they do it and do it very well.
This is Brendan Mullen and Underwood. Campisi the tackler. Liners there, Walker supports. The backs mauling us forwards. Australia have it in control through Mark McBain, thank you. Lions players offside.
Norster takes the cheap shot. Coming in from the side, looking for some spare ribs to try and pick up there. But coming in from an offside position. There's Norster again, Toastmaster in the Lions team, always wanting a chat.
Well, we saw the Lions running it wide. They know they have to, but the Australian defence up to the pace. Findlay Calder has really led his side well by his own play, but there isn't many joining with him, Gary. He's been in everything. He's tried to take it up. He's tried to play well, but no avail.
Gourley took it. It comes back Australia's way. Lloyd Walker. He tries to straighten and stands. Miller, look at him go. Jeffrey Miller. Laid back beautifully. Arthur is outside. Has he got the legs? Copybook low tackle. Another Australian down.
We can see here the ball goes wide. As Martin comes up, the referee has had his hand up prior to that for a penalty, but decided to play advantage. Athura going for the corner and just gets caught and put into touch.
Was good advantage played by the referee from back here. The chance was there, and Martin gave Athura all chance outside by putting that ball right in front of him.
Lloyd Walker down. Miller's gone out into the centres at inside centre. The Lions get the crucial line out. And Jones gets the touch. Just 12 metres out. So breathing space for Lloyd Walker. He's hobbling. Richards is back on the field. So that's great news for the Lions. Richards back. Jeffrey not required. Cutler and Campbell in the middle. Gourley got it. Lynagh to Miller at inside centre. Australia looking for the ruck ball. Right out in front of the goalpost, this one. A very potent attacking situation. 23.5 minutes to go in this Ricoh International, the first ever at the Sydney Football Stadium. Australia leading the British Lions by 18-6.
This could be tit for tat.
Lynagh to Campese. Back to Lynagh. Lynagh still going. Maguire at his first test. Try! What a moment for Dominic Maguire. Chris Handy was his coach at Brothers last year. He's nearly hit the roof here in the commentary box. His brother Patrick should have completed his marriage up in Brisbane. He had to forego the organ grinding for an Australian jumper. But what a moment.
Well, at this moment, he should be playing the organ in Brisbane for his brother's wedding, but he's playing a different tune here, the redhead. Created by Lynagh, nearly finished off by Lynagh, over in the tackle and down.
As you can see here, the platform set by the Australian pack, giving tremendous ball out to Lynagh, but Lynagh never more than a metre off the ball as Campese commits 2 men. He goes wide, he passes it back. Maguire bursts onto the ball at a different angle and over for a great try.
Well, I suppose in looking at it on double replay, it was a very close, it was a very lateral pass, I'd say.
We'll take it.
But I suppose the points are on the board. Keith Lawrence was in a great position to see it from. And ours isn't the best from up here.
So Lynagh, 100% kicking record so far. 2 goals, a penalty and a pot. This is his most difficult one so far. What a lovely strike at the ball. All the way. And Australia is surely out of sight.
Well, we are a nation of tall poppies. We don't give our champions the credit they deserve at home. The Lions went in as warm favourites, but this man playing a different tune is making that look a very silly prediction. Great try, Australia.
It's all or nothing now for the Lions. Loose tap from Cutler, picked up by Derek White. Now they can go. Chalmers, Mullen, and Hall has the ball on the 22. Calder Maldon, Ackford in there. Ackford slips to Jones. They have numbers here. The British Lions here through Chalmers. The pass was bad. It was a great tackle, though, by Jeffrey Miller. 30 metres out. Australia come away through Far Jones, keeping it in play. Hastings in the last line. Maguire comes through with McBain. Desperation stuff here for Yayan Evans. He has pace. Walker in front. So too Gourley and McBain. Good stepping. Halfback Jones, collared. Miller mauls it back.
To a man, Australia right there. Everyone moved in to do their work. Firstly, Maguire, the tackle on Hastings. McBain was there pushing himself from the breakdown because he's the fresh man. Miller has been everywhere and in everything. He's been the best of the Australians consistently. Gourley had a sensational first half. He's tired a little in the second half, but Miller's really making every pace to win. Look at the commitment on the faces of these proud wallabies.
Dan Crowley down for attention. So this could be the third Australian front rower to leave the field if he can't continue. But I think Dan Crowley's going to fight on here.
What a debut. Number 3, Dan Crowley, thought his chances had slipped by. Played sensationally for Queensland and done a superhuman job to anchor that scrum today for Australia.
Scrum very low on this side, David Young and Mark Harthill. Long cut out for Hastings. Maguire is there. And this is Underwood, away from Arthura. Now it's a chance. Big Derek White, 10 metres out. Tackler there was Steve Tyneman. And again, the Lions are thwarted at the death. Scuffle off the field. Frustration for the British Lions.
Superb play here by the Lions. They've moved the ball wide. See, it comes across here. Arthura's caught just without any pace. He tries to get to Underwood. Underwood gets over that vantage line, but correctly looks inside for the pass. He pops it back again to Mullen, and great backing up play by a big man in White.
The classic number 8 tackle of Tyneman was the one that wiped it all out. Fierce commitment by the Wallabies today. Everyone fulfilling and doing their own role well.
Michael Lynagh, a commanding figure behind the Australian forwards, playing in his 31st international this afternoon.
Well, what's that, a Crocodile Dundee or something? There we have the Boffa boys in the front row still singing. They've been a great touring party, the Lions.
Norster did well. Chalmers. Hall to Mullen. Underwood chases.
Great skills there by the Lions backs. All wanting to run it at every chance they can get. They're picking the pace up.
Gary, wouldn't you like to see them do that at the start of a game? You know, not just at the end of the game when they really need to score points. If they were able to put that sort of play into their whole overall pattern, it'd really be a spectacle.
I think the Lions got caught coming on to the day. I thought they were going to find it a bit easier with the Australian pack up front, but the Australian pack's got over the top of them.
So 2 Australian players there penalised for taking the man out.
What's the option?
24 points to 6. Still 17 and a half minutes to go. So really Gavin Hastings has to take the shot at goal. And he also has to kick it as far as the Lions are concerned.
Still 17 minutes. There's time if they've got the ability.
Hastings desperately wants this one. So too the Lions. It's a better strike. That one bisecting the uprights. Gavin Hastings kicking his second penalty. It's 2 penalties and a pot for the Lions. Australia 3 tries to 0. Lloyd Walker, Scott Gourley and Dominic Maguire.
Lions looking a little bit more hungry in the last 5 or 10 minutes, wanting to get hold of that ball, and their backs look excited when they've got hold of it. It's important for Australia here to take them on and hit them and physically intimidate them to get that ball back.
Hastings. Campese looking for the quick throw, but the touch was about 35 metres downfield.
Yes, it has to be at least near to where the ball went into touch for that quick line out to be valid. Well away. Australia need only settle. 5-man line out. Miller and Crowley poised centre field to take it up. Australia getting a flogging in this line out by referee Lawrence, saying coming across the line, but you're able to do that, sir, in the motion of jumping for the ball.
Well, normally the boot's on the other foot or the shoulder's on the other foot when it's Steve Cutler concerned. He's the tallest man out there, just a centimetre or so above Bill Campbell, and he's the one who has people taking him out. But the referee having stern words to Cutler.
Well, the Lions have not been penalised once out of the line out, and you can't tell me in a 2-team competition there's not some pushing and some barging going on as there was at the front.
Lost ahead by Miller. This is Richards. Miller, the tackler, comes again. Referee playing advantage here. The Lions roll it superbly. Jones. Advantage has accrued now. Sol. McBain goes low. The Lions looking for their first try. The Australians caught offside there on the blind side. Chalmers. Back to Mullen. Defence holding. Unfettering resolve here from the Australians. No one wants it at halfback. Chalmers wrapped up by Gourley. And the Australians have been ruled offside. Well, the ball looked to be out. And that one not pleasing the crowd.
Well, Mr. Lawrence certainly nailing Australia at every opportunity here. That time seemed fairly clear. The ball had come out and no one had made any move to it. Australia moved to where it was going to be and caught offside.
Yes, I think the problem for the Lions there is the halfback wasn't there. I think he might have been caught in the ruck. So again, it's straight out in front. The match is far from over, and Hastings has missed it. Well, it may be over after that effort. That's a crippling blow because the Lions would have come back to within 12 points. So it's been an off day for Gavin Hastings. 3 misses.
The Lions picking up momentum here. It's important for Australia to get back into the Lions half. Put them back on their heels.
Miller coming through, Richards there with Ackford, the 2 Englishmen.
Australia tiring here, not tackling the Lions around the legs. That's danger signals to the Australian pack. As you can see here, they can all get behind a man standing, rolling off the edges, getting in there, peeling off those yellow arms off the ball, clearing the ball out.
Chalmers now. Hastings punches through. Caught by Cutler. Norster slips it back. So does Young. Ackford through his legs. Jones. And Gourlay's penalised. Well, again, the ball, according to the crowd, was out. But you saw it for yourselves. The referee there saying no.
You must be bound on the side of this, and I think you'll find Scott Gourley is not bound at any time, and he's not behind the feet there. He goes in to make the thing. He is not bound there. He stands. See, he's not bound, and he goes to pick it up. Good decision by Keith Lawrence.
Yes, there are plenty of experts at rugby grounds in the crowd. And the poor old referee is always the man who cops the brunt.
They certainly put a firm hand on today's game, Gordon. He's set out to do that, and it's been a very clean, open display.
Better kick from Chalmers here. He takes over the goal-kicking duties. And Craig Chalmers has kicked his first penalty goal in an international.
Australia in the danger here of joining the rest of the crowd and being spectators. The last 10 minutes they've been watching rather than getting in there and doing things.
Well, what did we see 2 weeks ago? The French scored 17 points in 12 minutes in a test against the All Blacks. Anything's possible. Australia need to tidy their act up a bit. The Lions full of running and will run from every opportunity.
Yes, that's been a worrying aspect for the Australians. They've conceded penalties at a 2-1 ratio, 13-6. Tyman took it brilliantly. Well, the big fellows had a storming game this afternoon, showing his class and experience.
Interesting line out here. Australia will be looking to try and win this ball.
We wouldn't be surprised to see the Lions come around the front of this line out. The short throw to the front.
Richards back to Calder, and this is Young. Miller again the tackler. Chalmers throws the dummy. Lynagh goes in. Moore the hooker. Towed ahead by Maguire. Brendan Mullen caught. Australia drive in.
Great drive from the Australian forwards. They were tested in defence and they were solid to a man. As the Lions tried to outflank them, they just kept widening the arc and driving them across field. Great defensive work by Australia.
It's a different game when you put the Lions on the deck, and that was the produce of it, driving them 10 metres back from that original advantage line.
Steve Tyman controlling. They're waiting for him. He gets over the gain line and loses ahead. And Rory Underwood says, "Sir, what about the advantage?"
Lack of communication there at the back. Far Jones just easing off.
Long pass. That one 20 metres to the Scots. Great tackle it was. Lloyd Walker. Scotland get out of trouble. Chalmers downfield off the side of his boots.
Well, it should have been back to a scrum because they lost the ball forward in the tackle. Referee Lawrence, who's been good on most things, has let that one escape him.
Here Australia going for the 5-man line out. Again, splitting that 8-pack of the Lions. They don't like being apart from each other, and that's where Australia can really get up over that advantage line.
Richards hungry for the ball. That was the difference. Jones and Campese. Campo's going to use his 22. No, he's going to have a run. Lovely step. Beautiful running from Campese. He's beaten 4 or 5. Lloyd Walker. Outside is Martin. Good pass here to Tyneman. Great support play, Australia. Steve Cutler. Well, adventurous play from Campese has really set things in motion. The Lions all offside. David Soul standing at 5'8" after the maul had been won by the Australians.
In front of the last of his players to play the ball. Good drive. Started by Campese a little riskily, but then the momentum came. This drive from Tyneman started it on to Cutler, who punches upfield, and they're doing the tidy stuff, not being flamboyant, down, laying the ball back. And as a product of this, they found the tired Lions, tight 5, there on the ground and interfering with play.
Yes, it was a case of body and soul. If Michael Lynagh kicks this penalty goal, he will bring up 400 points in Test football. The greatest scorer in Australia's history. He hasn't missed one today. It's close, just under. And was there a knock on there? No, there wasn't. It came off the post. And Australia with the scrum feed after no one took the ball on the full.
Well, that ball dropped into play. It hit the post, it went behind the line, and then it was Craig Chalmers whose leg bumped it forward into play again, and then into a great position for Australia. This will be a true test. And here's the situation where the Lions will be wanting to take this scrum to ground. Mark McBain was shattered that top of his head, showing the result of the Lions scrummaging in Queensland, and this is the one they'll be wanting.
Clark Jones runs, still going. Martin, they won't stop him! Greg Martin in his first test. The Queenslanders run over and hug him, as well they might. There's a brawl going on after that scrum. But Greg Martin is beside himself.
Superb scrum that they didn't push. Look at the oblique running of Far Jones. Going across field, dummies to Lynagh, and Martin going as if all the power is with him.
And what a fantastic scrum here. We've got Far Jones running. But what has happened here is that it's the forwards who put the work in, and Martin over. And how happy will he be?
So the Scottish open side defence there really caught out. Captain being called across here. Brian Moore is being spoken to by referee Lawrence.
Mark McBain was savagely fouled in the game against Queensland. The Lions have been very clean on tour, but in the front row, it's been hard going, and the touch judge saw the result.
So the referee speaking to Brian Moore. I don't think he's going to be sent off, but a definite foul ruled by him. Finley Calder is happy. But some stunned faces here for the British Lions. 28 points to 12. Lynagh from right in front will bring up 399 points in Test football. Australia brings up 30. Gary Pearce.
Look at the scrum. They've hit harder. They're driving in there. Both these packs of forwards are very tired. But look, the Australian team holds on. Nick Farr-Jones, he goes across. All the backs of the Lions are all going across field, thus unable to take this punching run by Martin, who scores under the posts.
And is there a better half-back combination in international rugby, Nick Farr-Jones and Michael Lynagh? At the moment, you'd have to say no. Gavin Hastings, 30 points to 12. One of the heaviest defeats in British Lions history. I think the only bigger one was at Bloemfontein against the Springboks, when they lost by 34 to 14.
All players starting to feel those hits that have occurred for the last 78 minutes. On the far side here, Steve Cutler off that kickoff has been hit right in the back as he was contesting the ball.
Cutler has had problems with his hamstring and the sciatic nerve. This is, remember, is only his second major game in nearly 2 months. Cutler, with that hamstring problem, has still kept training and doing his weights and maintaining his fitness. And what a marvellous performance from him. And fittingly, Tim Gavin, the big Eastern Suburbs number 8, is going to come out on the field. Well, the crowd will be delighted. Eastern Suburbs going down in the curtain raiser to Randwick by 25 to 18, but not safe for Tim Gavin, nearly out there for his 4th cap. Cutler's going to see it out. 4 minutes to go. Miller, the tackler. He hasn't stopped tackling all day, no matter the size. Dean Richards. Chalmers and Mullen. Hastings on the scissors. McBain goes low. Moore, the hooker, has it. Good clearance to Chalmers. Australia tackling themselves to a standstill here. Soul straight into Cutler. Chalmers, Mullen, Hastings, up they go and back they go. Lloyd Walker's there. Maguire now picks up. The pass away to Harthill. Cutler, look at the overlap. Arthur stretches. Can he get there?
Magnificent play by Australia, and equally magnificent cover defence. Look at it, Finley Calder getting up off the ground. He was the man who covered across. Athura really trying hard to get for that try line, but the captain of the Lions really pressing him out to get across to take him into touch.
Arthur carried or had a slight knee problem going into the game. You could say he was about 90 to 95% fit, but that wouldn't be the case at the moment. He certainly gave his all as he scuffled for the line, but the Lions' defence roared. Well, Australia with 3 minutes remaining. The Lions in peril here once more. 4 tries to 0. Ackford, the big police inspector. And Craig Chalmers with a good touch finder, just 18 metres out. 4 30-year-olds in the Lions pack this afternoon. And I think they'll be pleased to hear that final hooter.
You can see here the great courage and commitment by this Australian pack over the last few years. They won't give up in this last couple of minutes. They want another try.
Finley Calder. And again, Australia penalised in the line-out. Jones. Back to Richards. Gourley cuts his legs from underneath him. Derek White has a charge. Richards comes in. Calder at halfback. Chalmers. What can the Lions do here? Mullen wrapped up in the tackle. Now it's Chalmers again. Underwood comes in. Can't get through. He gets out of the tackle of Lynagh. Just a minute and a half remaining. Australia by 30 points to 12. One of their finest victories.
Superb control here by the Lions. They're staying on their feet and they're just rolling off the edges. You can see here as they don't go one out, they all go together, thus laying the ball back for a good back line to get onto it.
Australia in a bit of bother here, though. This is Hall. Chalmers toes across field, and so does Lloyd Walker. 1 minute remaining. Well, both sides will be struggling to get fit players onto the field from the men out there at the moment. Next week at Ballymore, second test will be televised by ABC all over Australia except in Brisbane. They need a ticket sellout before it goes live in Brisbane. Referee spots a little knock forward in the line-out. Less than 30 seconds remaining. A triumph here for Bob Dwyer's Wallabies. Far Jones. Lynagh. And Michael Lynagh close to the best on field this afternoon. Seconds remaining. The crowd with the countdown. Australia has inflicted what seems to be the second heaviest defeat in British Lions history. Australia by 30 points to 12, scoring 4 tries to 0. Lloyd Walker, Scott Gourley, Dominic Maguire and Greg Martin. 4 conversions by Michael Lynagh. He also kicked a penalty and a field goal. And for the Lions, 3 penalties by Gavin Hastings, 2 by Hastings, 1 by Chalmers, and a field goal by Chalmers. The final score, Australia 30, defeating the British Lions 12. Standing ovation here for the Australian players. This really has been a superlative performance. Plenty of heroes there in the Australian ranks. Chris Handy is endeavouring to grab the Australian skipper. But isn't it great, Gary Pearce, to see this sort of atmosphere? This is the atmosphere the Australian players have missed over the last 3 years.
And they've really responded to it. They've got out there behind a fantastic ground with some true supporters.
And the 3 new caps coming off the field. All heroes today for the Australians.
Michael Lynagh coming through. What a magnificent general he's been today, to be able to pound that ball down into the half of these Lions. The Lions really caught very badly on this in this first half of the game, in which they were knocked back onto their heels. Australian team controlling ball from pretty well all parts of play.
And Steve Cutler too, and Nick Farr-Jones, the Australian captain. It's very heady scenes here. David Campese, the man who plays his rugby on a tightrope, really injecting some spark for the Australians, some inventiveness. But this was a true team performance by the Australians. Let's now go down to Chris Handy.
Well, Nick Farr-Jones, a great day for Australian rugby, more particularly for those players on the field.
Yeah, I mean, it was fantastic. We knew we were in for a big game today, very physical like it was. It's just absolutely delightful to win the first one the way we did, 30-12, and to put on a good game of rugby for the people who came out and supported it.
To beat them, you're going to have to crunch them up front.
Yeah,
you must have been delighted with the way that your forwards put on the crunch.
It was superb. I mean, some of that defence was absolutely great, you know. I mean, they came at us, you know, the last 5 minutes they kept on rolling off, but we had men there, we had men in numbers, and the defence was hard.
2 of the new men in the side, debutants, and Greg Martin, firstly to you, a try in your first test match here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. What's the feeling?
I haven't worked out any feelings. It was a great feeling when I went over.
I did call it over as well too. Dan Crowley, the tough stuff up front, injury early, but what a great thing to anchor that Australian scrum today.
Yeah, it all went well. Hopefully it'll go well for the next 2. I'm jealous of Marto. I want to try.
The change to the front row at half-time, did you readjust to that, or was that difficult?
Not really. Harts and Mac are good scrummages, and we knew it was going to be tough, but worked out well.
Congratulations, both of you, and we'll leave you to it.
Thanks, Putter.
Yes,
Well done,
Chris Putter Handy, who played in Australia's successful defence of the Bledisloe Cup back in 1980. 4 tries to 0. Michael Lynagh having a great day with the boot. 4 conversions. He also kicked a penalty goal and a field goal to give him a total of 14, and he's now tantalisingly on 399 test points. Lynagh today, with his kicking, not missing one. He in fact did miss one, 5 out of 6, and it was 2 penalties by Hastings, 1 by Chalmers, and a field goal by Chalmers. And the crowd joining in the singing here. So it really is a wonderful occasion. Australian rugby has had its ups and downs in the 1980s, but this has very much been one of the highs. Well, the Australians scoring 4 tries in this test match, 2 in the first half, Lloyd Walker and Scott Gourley, and 2 in the second. And fittingly, the 2 tries in the second half were scored by the 2 new caps. The first one went to Dominic Maguire, Gary Pearce.
Dominic Maguire has really come up here as a tremendous player to come into the outside centre. You see Michael Lynagh again, the general, slips it on to Maguire, going off his shoulder, and only strength's got him over.
Yes, the crowd cheering after singing Advance Australia Fair. But the Australian pack today, Gary, absolutely superb.
Uncompromising, and really took it to the Lions, and that's what really upset the Lions. They just couldn't handle playing the ball behind the advantage line. Let it be scrum or line out, they were putting put backwards, and that was the real part of the game that where Australia got on top.
When you consider that the British Lions, they're the best players from the 4 home unions, they're also seasoned internationals, they're outstanding internationals, it really does add to the merit of this Australian performance.
Well, it certainly is. So far on tour, it would have been the Lions who had been the ones who had been the cohesion. They were the ones who were getting together, but Australia, the big question marks is whether the Australian team could come together, and they did superbly.
So we have 2 internationals to go, 2 replacements at half-time for Australia. Tommy Lawton going off with what appeared to be a pinched nerve, and Cameron Lillicrap could be bad news for him, a cruciate ligament. But Greg Martin then scored the next try for Australia in the second half, also a debutant here this afternoon.
You can see here that base again of that Australian scrum holding on there. But it's really Far Jones who runs across field and commits all the Lions to go sideways, leaving Martin to come onto the ball on the burst, different angle, different pace, and over for a try between the posts. And look at that expression.
Wasn't Greg Martin happy, but a very big man, very much in the Roger Gould mould, 96 kilograms. He really was a tower of strength at the back.
Well, he certainly is. Not only you get all the aspects right of playing fullback, but he's a very tough player. There's times when the ball goes to ground, Martin's there and he's picking it up and consolidating play, allowing time for the back row to get around. Very strong player and committed to the full 15-man game.
And were you surprised that someone like John Jeffrey wasn't in the side, because the Lions were exposed there with that last try?
Well, they certainly were, because Jeffrey's got a bit more mobility. He's got a bit of fire in him, and I think that was the big question about the selection of the Lions' back row. I think they're going to need to pick somebody with a bit more mobility to be able to get over that advantage line.
OK, thanks very much, Gary Pearce. And a reminder, too, that tomorrow in Sunday Rugby, we'll have a replay of the game as well. We'll also have the second test from New Zealand, Eden Park, between France and New Zealand. Good.